Nation of Fitin10, welcome to day 41. We have 29 days to go, and next week, on this day, we will be starting your third scan. So you're either gonna have it next Thursday or next Friday. And a reminder that you are shooting for a combined loss of 20% of your fat mass. So we did a measurement on your fat mass in the beginning, and by this point, okay, by your third scan, which is happening next week. If you haven't booked it, make sure you book it, by the way. We are looking for a total of a 20% reduction in that fat mass number. So keep that in mind. Book your scan if you haven't, by the way, www.calendly.com/train-on-main. Calendly is CALENDLY.com. Today, I would like to talk about fats. We're going to talk about good fats and bad fats. Just like in this world, we have so many good things and we have bad things. Things are either good or they're bad. There's nothing in between, right? No, I'm just being a bit ridiculous. Like everything, there is a gradient, and like everything, there's good and bads. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to talk about fats that I would encourage you to eat versus fats that I encourage you not to eat, not to consume, at least not in high levels. Also, we got certain fats that are okay to cook with. But when we're looking at fats and classifying them as good or bad, we're not just looking at the effects, for example, on our cardiovascular system. We're looking at things like, are they typically GMO based? How is the oil extracted from whatever it's being extracted from? Are there any other compounds that are added to the oil in order to make it what it is, etc.? There are many things. How stable is the oil? How carcinogenic is the oil? Okay, there are many things that affect, or I'm looking at when we are evaluating the health, or at least how healthy an oil is for consumption. So let's talk about some of these. By the way, this might be a bit controversial. You'll see why in a second. Generally speaking, saturated and monounsaturated fats are the fats that we want to consume. Generally speaking, saturated and monounsaturated fats are the fats we want to consume. And generally speaking, we want to stay away from polyunsaturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats tend to be the most unstable fats. There are certain polyunsaturated fats that we do want to get in small quantities, and you may already be familiar with these. These are omega-3 fatty acids, like your fish oils, which, by the way, I carry the most concentrated fish oil on the market. Just saying. So there is a little bit of polyunsaturated that we want to get, but generally speaking, especially when it comes to cooking, we want the saturated and or the monounsaturated fats. And by the way, when we're looking at fats, for example, whether it's butter or it's olive oil, fats are not all one type of fat. So for example, you might think that olive oil is primarily monounsaturated, or you might think that it is a monounsaturated fat, or you just might think it's a non-saturated fat. But actually, olive oil is actually more saturated fat than anything. Yes, that's true. And so are many other fats, including many animal fats, more monounsaturated fat. They're typically termed a saturated fat just simply because they have a higher percentage of saturated fat. But they are not pure saturated fat. Excuse me, when I talk about animal fats, they're mainly saturated fat, but they do contain a high level of monounsaturated fat. I'm not sure if I said that incorrectly or not originally. So, what am I at here? 4.5 minutes? Okay, I'm not gonna be able to get through all this in one video, so let's just hop right into it. Here are some decent fats that you could cook with. These are gonna be the most stable: grass-fed butter, coconut oil, ghee, and palm oil. These fats are primarily saturated fats, by the way. with a decent amount of monounsaturated fats and a very small, like less than 5% polyunsaturated fat. When we're looking at healthy to consume fats, these could be hot or cold. We're looking at things like olive oil, avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, and walnut oil, which, by the way, these are all primarily saturated fat. They are over 50% saturated fat, with some monounsaturated fat and very little polyunsaturated fat. When it comes to oils that we really want to consume cold, we want to keep these refrigerated. We're looking at things like sesame seed oil, flaxseed oil, and fish oil. Again, these are primarily actually saturated fat with some level of monounsaturated fat. So some things to keep in mind here, and perhaps change your idea when it comes to some of these fats as being perhaps something that they're otherwise not. Right? So for example, again, olive oil having a high amount of saturated fat, at least percentage-wise. Okay, how about some unhealthy fats? How about fats that we want to stay away from? Things like canola oil, corn oil, grapeseed oil, peanut oil, safflower oil, soybean oil, and sunflower oil. Now, let's not confuse these with things like, for example, peanut oil and peanuts. They're not the same thing. Peanut oil is a highly concentrated version of the fat extracted from the peanut, and that's a whole different story. But generally speaking, a lot of these types of fats are GMO based. They typically involve other components that have to go into them in order to extract the oil. For example, things like hexane, things that aren't good for us. And some of these, forgive me, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, a lot of these are processed at very high temperatures. And that's not a good thing, excuse me, for the shelf life of these oils. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. Let's get to the message of the day, and I will revisit this tomorrow. So today's message is, what is today's message on this day 41? Time flies. Time flies, but you are the pilot. Time flies, but you are the pilot. And perhaps if you're a little bit younger than me, or a lot younger than me, what's the youngest person we have in this challenge? Maybe late 20s? I think for those of you who are a little bit older, you can probably speak along the same, or perhaps you're experiencing the same things I'm experiencing. Time is flying by, and it seems like as I age, it only goes by faster. Whether it's going by fast for you or slow, the point is you are largely in control. Yes, you are. You are largely in control of your destiny. So take advantage of the time and make things happen. Make all the things that are important to you, whatever you value, whatever is important to you, without hurting others, of course. Go after it. Take advantage of the time, because before you know it, the end is the end is near. Not to sound pessimistic here, I'm just being, just saying what is. Take advantage of the time, know that you are in control, and know that you have all the means necessary, especially living where we do, to make the changes in your life that you want to. You have all the means. And if you're one of those people that believes, because I've dealt with this many times before, that you are an anomaly and you cannot lose fat. I've had people literally say to me, I just don't think it's possible for me. Follow your macros, do all the principles of the challenge, your cardio, your weights as outlined. Follow your macros, do all your exercise, follow your macros, and I guarantee you, you will lose a substantial amount of weight, even in 29 days. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. See you guys.